Buenos tardes!
Hola! In this video, we're sharing about our backstory, basically.
We've had several people ask about our decision to move to Mexico. I mean, to be quite frank, it wasn't really our decision. We're just doing what we're told.
Yeah.
We realized we've hit on it here and there, but we've not actually
We haven't made a
come
video
out with the whole story.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And several people in the comments were asking, and so maybe it's time we do that.
Yeah. So here it is.
Probably long past time we did that.
First thing is that we love to travel and we love to see new places. And it's just, I don't know. Like for me, it's been in my blood. Like I grew up moving around and moving to different places, all within the United States, but I have been to Mexico several times because I used to live in San Diego, and we went to Tijuana and Baja California several times. So
I've never been.
yeah, he's never been to Mexico,
Not till June.
and he loves to travel though.
September of 23, we went to Gatlinburg for a week.
Yeah.
Five or 6 days. And I don't know, something happened there, this urge to move, which I've always wanted to move. I had planned on moving to Colorado, and I had, a few other
Moving
ideas along
out
the
of
way.
Kansas?
Yeah, out of Kansas was really the goal originally. But I decided I was just never going to do it until all of my kids were settled on their own and out. And the more I thought about that, though, too, the more I realized that when they're all settled and out and on their own completely, then my parents will be getting older, and it's just going to be one excuse after another. And my family, growing up, my family has always talked about moving to Colorado, or, and nobody has ever done it. We've just never actually got up and done it. And I didn't want to live, I guess, the rest of my life questioning what would happen if I had done that. And with technology the way it is now, I can still see the kids and talk to the kids, and they're really not kids anymore. Which is, I gotta be careful with how I say that.
Yeah, they're all young adult
Houses, and we're still gonna be home quite a bit over the next few years. So
for me. So like with my backstory real quick, like as far as Mexico, I had probably about 6 years ago, I was actually researching about moving to Belize. So my boys, who at the time were graduating high school and stuff, I was like, okay, so I'm gonna be an empty nester. This was before we got married, before we met and stuff. So I'm gonna be an empty nester. What am I gonna do? So I felt like maybe Belize might be a place to move to. So I've always had this kind of urge to go, to a different country, try it out and stuff. So I don't know, but in October of 2023, we actually decided that we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna move. And we thought of a place that was closer to home, and that was Branson, Missouri. And so we decided, okay, we're gonna sell everything and we're gonna move to Branson. But we bought an RV.
we decided that we could do some traveling a little bit along the way, but our home base was going to be Branson, or at least that area. We had planned on living around the Ozarks, moving into some area around the Ozarks. Nixa, Missouri was pretty high on our list. So we felt like we were kind of being urged that way. We told pretty well everybody that we were going to move to Missouri, which is only about a 6-hour drive
At the most.
from
our hometown.
From our hometown to where we wanted to go in Missouri. And people were not happy.
Yeah, they were sad. They were like, why? Why are you going?
Crying and complaining and arguing, and it was a weird reaction for being that far away. I'm like, we can come home on weekends if we need to. I mean, it just seemed weird to me that we were getting that bad of a reaction from it. But
Yeah. So.
But we felt like that was what we were supposed to be doing. We felt like we were going to figure out, like God was leading us out there to do something is how we felt at the time. But we had no motivation to get up and get ready to move out there. We had no, and something just didn't feel quite right, and we couldn't figure out why, but
we really wanted to go.
Yeah, we really, that was our plan. And if it was up to us, that's probably where we'd be right now.
But in March of 2024, we were going to be going on this mission trip down to Mexico.
Here.
Where we are
Very
now.
Specifically here.
So we were going to go on this mission trip with our church and other, well, not quite our church, but with a mission group and everything. It didn't work out to be able to do that.
They did 2 trips, and we weren't able to make either trip.
Yeah, one, I had a wedding to photograph during one of them, and the other one, basically, it was soon, so we weren't able to save up money for that, and plus we're like, we need to save up money to move to Branson.
Yeah, we were still working on that plan.
Yeah, so therefore that didn't happen, but our pastor and his family went. They came down here for the mission trip, and when he came back,
he approached me and said, I feel like I should tell you that they are starting an automotive program on the mission. And
which he's a mechanic.
I'm a mechanic, and she's a teacher. They're always looking for teachers down here. But the automotive program is brand new. They've got a trade school. I guess I can explain that a little bit. They have a trade school because they are doing education, preschool through 12th grade, and then they have a Bible college, and they also have a trade school. If you're going to go out into any community and be a preacher in Mexico, you don't go as just a preacher. Mexico frowns on that. If you're going to go out, you better have a trade, something that you're contributing to the community and not just trying to collect from the community, really. And so they started the trade school here. Well, they've got a lot of different trades. They're working on their nursing program. They've got cosmetology. They've got sewing,
welding, carpentry, and cooking.
There's a lot, and we don't have an extensive list. But if you want to go to is it rocablanca.org? Rocablanca.org, you can actually see what they're doing here.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
And if you feel the need to, if you feel the urge to donate to our mission down here, or any mission that's going on down here, we can leave some links in the comments afterwards or in the description.
Yeah.
And we would be thrilled to have some support in what we're doing here. So
definitely.
We'll finish explaining what we're doing first.
So basically, the call is kind of like they're to start a mechanic program is what their call is to do. So they are looking for a mechanic and a few mechanics and stuff. But
so when our pastor said, "Hey, I just feel like I should tell you this, like I should tell you this," and he told me, and I said, "Hey, that's great. That'll be fun for somebody else." And but it wasn't long after that I got this need to start learning Spanish, which I didn't do a lot of in Kansas. Things moved pretty quickly after that.
Yeah, because about within 2 weeks later, we were meeting with our pastor. During this time that we were meeting with him, I was like, "Oh, I know where we're supposed to go," and they're looking at me like, "Where?" Because we're planning on going to Branson. And I said south. I mean, we're supposed to go south. I don't know where, but south.
And me being, I don't know, an irritating man, kind of a man-child, I guess, was kind of mocking her. It was like, oh, that's because you want to move south. She wanted to move to Arizona. She said, no, that is southwest. I feel like we're supposed to go south. I said, where? She said, south. That's the only feeling that I get.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay.
So, real quick, like, we were planning on going to Branson, having that as our home base and stuff, but yet traveling around. And I wanted to go to Quartzsite, Arizona, and that's where I wanted to head, but all of a sudden this was like we're supposed to go south. So when we were at the end of our conversation and our pastor was praying us out.
Yeah, he was in the middle of prayer, and it just hit me all of a sudden, Oaxaca, Mexico, which we knew this base was here.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't explain it, but it was just clear as day what she meant when she said south. And so as soon as we came out of prayer time, I said, you meant Oaxaca. And she said, I did not mean Oaxaca, I meant south. And I was like, then why am I feeling like Oaxaca is the answer to that? And so that terrified me. I did not want to move to Mexico. I was scared of Mexico. You hear all sorts of bad things on the news. Quit watching the news. And it terrified me. Because I just knew that was the right answer. I knew that's where we were going. I knew that was the answer, because the whole time, and I had a couple other preacher friends that I'm good friends with, and some other mission leaders that I had talked to, told them kind of our experience, and they said, man, that sounds pretty real. They said, you better be paying close attention to your next steps.
Yeah, we ended up getting lots of confirmation on it and everything, and I was okay with it. I was like, well, I guess if that's where we're supposed to go, then I guess that's where we're going, you know. And
I had what they call a crisis of faith, and for a little bit I'm like, did I really hear that? Did I really? And then all of the pieces just fell together with ease. Nothing in my life has ever just fallen together with ease. That's not how my life has worked, which I've pretty well fought against anything God wanted me to do for most of my life. So it kind of explains a lot.
It's kind of interesting when you actually listen to God and you follow Him and how everything works out. So in April, we got the motivation to actually do everything that we were needing to do.
Everything. I haven't had that much energy most of my life. Which was just a really interesting thing. I mean, there was just this sudden focus that had never been there before, and I'm pretty ADHD, so it takes a little bit for me to really hone in on something that needs done.
Yeah. So I started selling things on Facebook, and it was selling left and right. I mean, it was just going. I was surprised. So in that time, after finding out that we were going to be going down here, that's where God was leading us,
and we hadn't talked to anybody about that yet. Not even the people that are down here, that are actually running that. But I don't know. It just seemed so clear. So
yeah. So I was trying to get a hold of somebody to figure out how we can, how it works for us to find a place to live down here and everything, what we needed to do. We wanted to visit first, and then hopefully maybe possibly start the Spanish school down here, because we knew we needed to learn Spanish in like October or December or something. I can't remember. And finally, I was going through my Facebook.
It would have been November, because this one started in September. So November is when we decided that we probably were supposed to be down here.
And I was looking through my Facebook, and this person showed up on my Facebook friend suggestion.
Friends.
Yeah. And I'm like, what? They've never shown up on here. And that's who I needed contact. So I messaged them, and and after a couple of days, we finally got in touch and we talked, and then it's the husband that was talking to me, and the husband's like, well, my wife is in Hutchinson right now, which is where we were. And it's like, what? She's here? So we set up a time to meet with her within 3 days. And
yeah, I thought we were going to have a half hour or maybe an hour long chat at the coffee shop, and we ended up being there 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours. And I really, I'm not sure how long we would have stayed if I hadn't had to get my son to church that night. Because we were still talking, but I had to go because he was late.
It was a very good conversation, and we learned a lot. And then in the next couple of days, we actually did a video chat with the husband, and they are the directors of the trade school down here. And so that's why we wanted to get in contact with them. So they formally invited us to come down here for a few days just so that they can show us around, introduce us to everybody and all that. And
so we could see what we were getting into. It's a little bit of a harsh environment down here. You get used to it.
Yeah.
And I think by the grace of God, we have gotten kind of acclimated to it a lot quicker than most people do.
It's not for everybody, for sure. So, and we really enjoy it down here. And there are times when we're like, oh, it's hot. It's, humid. Man.
It's just not a real good place to escape that.
No, not at all. So, but you just learn to work with it and everything.
Like the first couple of days we were here, before noon, I was like drenched in sweat. And now I'm dry.
Yeah.
It's mid-afternoon and it's pretty hot.
It's pretty hot outside. And you can't tell.
I'm actually dry today, so.
Yeah.
But it only took about 3 or 4 days to really. I think it was about 3 days to get comfortable.
Yeah, and that first week, we got acclimated somewhat, and then we started Spanish school, and so we were learning the ropes of Spanish school. And every change is hard. It doesn't matter what kind of change it is. You have to work through everything that might be hard or whatever, and you get through it. So, and that's the reality of life. So, but anyhow, we ended up coming down here in June, and we stayed here for 3 days. And the first day we flew in on Sunday, and it was 7:30 p.m. when we got here, and it was in Oaxaca, and that's 3 hours away. Well, from our research, we're like, you're not supposed to drive at night.
That's like the biggest rule in Mexico. Don't drive at night. For several reasons. There's a lot of bad people that come out at night or can come out at night. The wildlife come out at night, and topes.
Speed bumps.
Speed bumps. Everywhere speed bumps. And it's harder to see them at night.
Yeah.
You can ramp over them pretty good. I hit one the other day. We've driven over it a dozen times since we've been here. And I don't know what happened, but the last 2 times we've gone by, I just didn't see it. It was just the right time of night. There was shadow on it. I just didn't see it. And once I hit it almost full speed. And
you have to memorize where they are.
We launched pretty good on that one. So you got to be careful with all of that.
Yeah. So anyways, they came and picked us up, and we drove on down. We actually stopped in Puerto Escondido, and they took us to their favorite restaurant there, which was pretty awesome. And
good tacos.
Yeah. And then we made it all the way here. The next morning, we get up, and we are walking all over the place. It was go, 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 go. And, trying...
We were exhausted that Monday.
Yeah. We're like, whoa, brain overload right here.
It was a lot.
Yeah. So we ended up walking everywhere, seeing everything, meeting everybody, and all that. So it was a good day. And it wasn't bad at all. It's just we were overloaded by just with our brains and trying to take it all in. So, and then the second day, we got to go and watch a little bit at the Spanish school and see how that worked. And we did that on the third day as well, because we knew. When was it that we knew? Was it Monday afternoon?
Night.
Yeah.
Monday night at the Monday night worship
Oh,
services when I got confirmation. I was kind of stressing out. I was overwhelmed. I was looking around going, I don't know if I can do this. There's setting up the shop and the school and all of these things, and my mind was just overloaded. And this moment of clarity came while we were like in their chapel, their camp. I don't remember what camp stands for, but in their chapel, there's just this moment of clarity. Hey, you don't have to do every step all at once. Your next step is Spanish school. And so I wrote that down, because that was as clear as day, a very direct, just, this is your next step. And while you're down there for Spanish school, everything else will fall into place. And so I said, okay, our next step is Spanish school. And I wrote it down, but I did not tell her. I wanted her to confirm that.
And during that same night, during worship service, I'm standing there and I'm enjoying it and everything, and it just like all of a sudden I'm like, I got this heartfelt thought in my head. I'm like, wow. And I looked at Nick and I'm like, I belong here. This is where I belong. So yeah,
Worship service is very powerful.
yeah, it was amazing. It was pretty cool. During the rest of that week, we got to learn how the Spanish school works. We went ahead and applied and put our deposit in, whatever, for the application, and got all that set up. And yeah, it was just really good coming here and visiting.
Well, we had supper with Dwayne and Sue, the leaders, the founders of the base, and that was really good. That was night number 2. We had supper with them, and Dwayne said, he said, I think your next step is going to be Spanish school. And we're like, hey, we feel like that too. So,
confirmations.
Just a lot of confirmations. But we got back to the U.S. after being down here for only 3 days, and we just knew this is where we were supposed to be at that point. And we figured we had until November. Really, it was what we had originally thought. Now it's September and we're already here. Because I guess when God's working on things and pushing you into things just move real fast and quick, and they can move real smooth too when they have to, and they did. When we got back, we started telling people about moving here, which is, a 32 hours from home here, I think. 32 or 34 hours from home is where we're at here. And the response was completely different. Before, when we were moving 6 hours away, people were mad and sad and crying, and we had just a range of emotions, and not a lot of them were good. I had customers that weren't happy. They're like, this makes no sense. I was like, I don't understand. But when we changed and said, okay, we're no longer moving there, we're moving to Mexico, people were thrilled. Our family was concerned. Obviously, you hear a lot on the news about Mexico. But it wasn't the same anger, and I don't know, it was just a completely different response.
Everybody was more excited for us, and they're like, well, if God's leading you there, that's where you should go.
Yeah, and I had people that I didn't even realize were believers were telling me, oh, that is awesome, you have to go. If that's where you're feeling led, you've got to go. And we just got that confirmation over and over and over again. I was still a little bit terrified, because I wasn't sure what we were doing or how we were going to do it, and but the steps that we had to do just kept coming to me. This needs done, do that first, get these things done. And as I was listening to those things and getting those things done, stuff just kept falling into place, just as it should.
And it was not always easy. We were living in the in-between.
The in-between is no fun.
So yeah, and that's basically it, the in-between. It was like, okay, we are, we're done with this. We are ready to be here, but we still are here. So.
And I was still trying to work and, put together some money and pay some things off, and so.
Yeah. So then we go on to our houses. So. Sorry.
Kids playing music upstairs.
Yeah, we've got noise going on around us. It's Sunday, and yeah, the daughter upstairs has friends over apparently. So, but anyhow, in July, we had our home and we had a rental home, and that's a whole story in itself.
Yeah,
My goodness.
I was fighting myself. I was going back and forth. I'm like, well, we need a realtor, and I'm like, I don't really, feel like I should need a realtor right now. The houses aren't ready yet, and my renter couldn't buy it, and all these things were going on. I was feeling overwhelmed.
This was before, yeah.
Yeah. So I was praying about it, trying to decide what I should do, and I had to just let some of that stress go. And I was headed to work one day, and I just felt this urge, like, hey, go get that sign put up, the for sale by owner sign put up in your yard. I have felt that tug before, and I tried to argue with it the last time, and it didn't end well for me. And so this time I was like, all right, here I go. And so I turned around, went to the store, got the sign, put it up in the yard. We had 2 realtors just flake out on us. They came and looked at the houses, and oh yeah, we'll get you some numbers, no problem. We'll help out. This looks great. Never heard from them again. So apparently we just were never supposed to use a realtor to begin with, which is good, because that particular realtor said, he thought my numbers were pretty close in the ballpark, but he thought it might be a little bit high, and our offer was every penny that I told them that I wanted to get. We had a little bit of work to do on it, but that was only a month and a half ago, and it's sold and gone.
Yeah, within 3 days we had a contract kind of on both houses.
Both houses.
So
the contract on the one that I put the for sale by owner sign on, we signed the contracts 3 weeks to the day from when I put that sign up in our front yard.
So.
And that sign had to go up early the week that it did, because we were in
San Antonio,
Texas. The week after that, for her son's graduation from Air Force Basic Training.
Yeah.
And so that sign had to go up the week that it went up, and then while we were gone, they saw it, and then when we came back, they came and looked at it, and the following week we had contracts.
And an interesting thing, I think it's interesting, is that the couple, the guy is actually from Mexico. So I'm like, that's interesting.
They were really awesome people, and real friendly. It was definitely a God thing, because
yeah. So once we got that house sold and all of it, everything out of the house and all that, we moved into the RV, and that was kind of our in-between time. We actually loved living in the RV. I've always wanted to have a tiny home, so the RV was perfect, and we did all that, but I
got a lot more comfortable in there than I expected to, which I think it was preparing me for this, because this house is like the size of 2 RVs.
Yeah, it's a tiny home. It really is, and I enjoy it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's good.
So anyways, we lived in the RV for a few weeks until it was time to launch off, and we did make it to Mississippi to see my son at the Air Force Base, and then we headed on down into Mexico, which those videos are on here. you can go watch them if you have not seen them.
Yep.
So
Get into those videos. We have just heard horror stories about crossing the border and corrupt police and cartels and all of the things that are on the news, and we didn't have one bit of trouble the whole way down here.
it was great.
We got stopped at 3 checkpoints by the National Guard, which the National Guard is one that you can usually trust in Mexico, as long as they're in groups. Individuals have been known to cause some problems from time to time, but yeah, we didn't have any problems until we got to Walmart in Oaxaca City, and that's
video
on one of the videos.
Yeah.
So go watch that video.
It's all fun.
It's all fun.
It really is.
We've had a few people tell us that we complain about the area, but we're not complaining. We love it here. It is warm.
Yeah.
And occasionally we'll complain about the heat and the humidity, but we love it here. It's beautiful, and the people are as friendly as we want to meet.
Yeah.
And we feel like God has us on a real mission here.
Yeah.
So our mission right now is Spanish school, so we're going to try and get through that. After week 1, I was a little afraid I was not going to pass Spanish school, but that's on another video too. So go watch our Spanish school videos as well. Those will be fun, and we'll have more of those over the next 7 weeks for this first session, and then we'll have a second session before Christmas. That's the session that we thought we were going to start on, but we were down here one entire session early.
Yeah.
Because
So
God said
it's all been good.
we got
God's been with us.
stuff to do. So.
Yeah. And so, but we really, we enjoy it here. We're definitely not complaining. We are telling how it is.
Yeah.
That's it. It's hot. It's humid.
And it's definitely different than the United States.
Yeah. We want people to understand that. People in the United States or other countries, Paris or wherever, don't know what it's like here. And so that is what we're doing with this channel. We're sharing everything. We're sharing the good and the bad and, everything. So when we talk about how hot it is, or, how he's going to go home and cry because of his score or something, we're not complaining. We're just
That's
sharing.
Just me being me. You'll get used to that.
He's sarcastic. So anyways, we hope you enjoy our videos, and we plan to continue to make more videos to share about our journey here. And if you have anything that you want to know, which a lot of people ask about our backstory, and so here's this video now. So if you have anything you would love to know or whatever, put in the comments so we know, what kind of videos you want to see and what you want to learn about or anything like that. So we'd be happy to make those videos.
Yep. We can make them.
And if you're new,
gives me an excuse to sit here in front of the fan.
Yeah, the fan's right there, but blowing hot air in.
It's moving. That's all that matters.
But if you're new here to our channel and you want to continue watching videos, make sure to subscribe. Click on that bell so that you can get notifications, and we will see you in the next video. Adios.